We are dropping right into a real-time story about a company trying to achieve the absolute impossible right now, today. This isn't some look back at history, it's a high-stakes mission unfolding literally above our heads and on the stock market, right at this very second.
Think about this for a second. What if your phone could get a signal anywhere on Earth? Literally anywhere. Out in the middle of the ocean, deep in the desert. Imagine never ever seeing that annoying no service sign on your screen again. Well, that is exactly the massive, totally world-changing dream driving a company called AST SpaceMobile. Chapter 1. Cell Towers in Space. Look, to understand what this company is actually doing, you don't need a degree in aerospace engineering. You really just need to think of them as building invisible internet towers in space. These aren't your grandpa's satellites that need a giant, ugly dish bolted to your roof. No, these are designed to connect directly to the completely normal, everyday phone you've already got in your pocket. Now, to actually pull this off, the physical scale of these objects has to be just mind-blowing. I mean, to catch a faint little signal from a tiny cell phone all the way from space, you need a massive antenna. For context, just picture a standard human being standing next to an everyday car. That car takes up roughly 100 square feet. Keep that size in your head for a second, because the reality of what they're launching is absolutely staggering. This is their next generation Block 2 Bluebird satellite. At roughly 2,400 square feet, it's basically the size of a giant house. And it's unfolding in zero gravity, whipping around the Earth at thousands of miles an hour, all just to catch a text message from your smartphone. If you want bull versus bear stock analysis without hype, subscribe to Future Ready. Chapter 2. The recent market roller coaster. So the journey to actually build these giant space towers has been, well, incredibly chaotic. It's a story that's moving simultaneously at the speed of rocket launches and the speed of market panic. Just look at the timeline. Over the last month alone, 30 days ago, investors watched in absolute horror as a partner's rocket exploded and a valuable satellite failed to reach orbit. Then, 7 days ago, panic set in when SpaceX, their massive rival, launched its own IPO, basically sucking all the financial oxygen out of the room. But then, just 24 hours ago, redemption. A Falcon 9 rocket successfully deployed 3 massive new Bluebird satellites into orbit, putting their timeline right back on track. But the market's reaction to all this has been completely violent. Just days ago, AST SpaceMobile's stock dropped 12%. Why? Not because their own tech failed, but simply because that massive SpaceX public offering terrified investors. People were literally selling their shares in AST just to free up cash to buy in to Elon Musk's newly public company.
So the absolutely crucial point you need to understand is this. This stock is not trading on normal business math right now. You can't look at their current profits because, well, they're still building the product. Instead, the stock is trading on extreme emotional swings. It's this wild daily tug of war between the hope of a totally connected planet and the intense fear of delays and competition.
Chapter 3. Massive Dream and Risks. Right now, we are looking at a glaring contradiction between a world-changing idea and the terrifying, highly expensive reality of actually pulling it off. This contradiction is immense. On one hand, the excitement is off the charts. They don't have to go door to door selling this thing. They already have partnerships with giants like AT&T and Verizon, which gives them instant potential access to over 3 billion users globally. But on the other hand, the fear is very, very real. Space is fundamentally hard. Rockets blow up, timelines slip. And right now, the company is burning through cash at a massive rate just to get these satellites built. Yet, despite all those terrifying risks, investors are holding on tight. Why? Well, because of this number right here. There is over $1 billion in contracted revenue commitments just waiting for AST SpaceMobile. If they can just get enough of these satellites working and prove the network functions smoothly, that massive pile of money turns from a promise into a reality. If you want bull versus bear stock analysis without hype, subscribe to Future Ready.
Chapter 4. What investors are watching next. So, what actually happens in the next sequence of this high-stakes mission? What's going to decide if this stock completely crashes or soars to new heights? Right now, the entire market is fixated on the number 45. That is the magic number of satellites AST SpaceMobile needs to have successfully operating in orbit by the end of 2026. If they hit 45, they can provide continuous, unbroken, nationwide coverage across the entire United States. To get there, everyone is watching 3 very specific things. First, can they stick to their rocket launch schedule without any more explosions or crazy delays? Second, when these giant new satellites unfold, does the internet actually work fast in the real world? And third, the looming giant in the room. Will Elon Musk's Starlink pivot and completely crush them before they even get off the ground? But here's a fascinating twist. Despite the overwhelming fear of SpaceX, some financial analysts, like the ones at Roth Capital, believe AST SpaceMobile currently has a structurally better design for direct-to-phone connection. In fact, they estimate AST has a crucial 2-year head start over Starlink when it comes to this specific type of technology. Chapter 5. Two very different futures. We are truly standing at a crossroads here. For AST SpaceMobile, there's no middle ground. Only one of two extreme futures can happen from here. In Future 1, the launches go perfectly. They successfully blanket the globe, hitting that 45 satellite target, unlocking massive revenue by 2027, and becoming the biggest leap in mobile communication since the smartphone itself. In Future 2, the brutal reality of space wins out. Constant delays mean they burn through their cash, the funding dries up, and heavily armed rivals like SpaceX sweep in and take the market, leaving AST as nothing more than a forgotten stepping stone. At its core, that is what this entire story is about. AST SpaceMobile isn't just a stock ticker. It is a high-stakes, multi-billion-dollar bet on turning the stars above us into the ultimate unbreakable mobile network. If you want bull versus bear stock analysis without hype, subscribe to Future Ready. So as the countdown to their next launch continues, the whole market is just holding its breath. Are these giant, invisible space towers the next great leap for human connection, or just a beautiful dream that's simply too heavy to keep in orbit? We're going to find out very, very soon.